facing each other?
Well, we gotta be on camera.
So it's more like caddy corner. Perfect. That one's yours?
Yeah.
Vine walked so TikTok could run, really, when you think about it.
Vine back in the day.
All right, let's see how awkward you are. No, I'm just kidding. I'll be edited.
Cut.
All right.
I think cut is when you stop.
So we're done. That was good. Brianna Prindle.
It just recorded all of that?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just going. And then I'll splice stuff if I have to. Or it'll all be uncut and all of this will be on there.
We're done.
We're done. Good job. Alright, so a new episode of Coffee with Kaity. I think the last one was with Callie, which means I haven't done one in a long time. Oops. But we're going to talk a little bit about Bree's fitness journey. Begrudgingly, she got Starbucks because she's not a big Starbuckser. I guess I could make this a little closer. I feel like there's a lot of table going on. But begrudgingly got some Starbucks. We're back here at Fit Lab. So I think where I want to start is coaching. Because you just got your L1. Mm-hmm. Tell me about your L1 experience.
It was...
And you never have to look at the camera if you don't want to. If you want to look at it, you can too.
It was a little drink the Kool-Aid of CrossFit.
Always. Yes.
I know y'all just got coffee.
Yeah.
Do you need more?
Nah, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
They're on camera. Say hi.
Hi.
There we go. So anyway.
A little drink the Kool-Aid of CrossFit, which I think I expected.
Yeah, kind of the point.
CrossFit gets a bad reputation, I think, from a lot of different perspectives.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I believe in the philosophy of it.
Yeah.
I think as somebody who's gone through a lot of different aspects of fitness in my time, I truly believe the idea of generalizing and not specializing.
Yeah.
I think it has kept me out of injury. It has kept me continuing to get fitter over the years and not bored, especially.
Yeah.
And so I think listening to a lot of the foundation of CrossFit and the belief that goes into it, how it all started, all there. I think some of it's words that gets fluffed in and put through it.
Absolutely.
And just kind of like they made more out of it than necessarily
The
what it had
CrossFit
to be.
terminology, yeah.
But I think kind of seeing that whole baseline and the foundation of where it comes from and the philosophy behind it was really cool to be a part of. I think I'm very thankful that I went into it being an already fit, already like knowledgeable on positions, very well aware of all of that foundation.
Yeah.
Because I would have been completely lost
Yeah.
if I didn't have that background. So I think seeing like most of the group that was there, we had 25 people in our cohort, I guess you want to call it, maybe class, seminar, I guess is the word.
Cohort. Cohort.
There were 25, and I'd say probably 20 of them were your routine, regular CrossFitters that wanted to coach, wanted to be there. But there were a few people there that like were foundational in a lot of their movements.
Yeah.
Like definitely we're new to a snatch, we're new to a lot of these things, and I applaud them because I think it's really crazy to kind of walk in there and not have that.
Yeah.
There's
always one or two.
I think sometimes of like, if I had learned those movements so foundationally well from day one, that's also setting yourself up for so much success in everything.
Definitely.
Learning things the right way from the right time, what to look for, what to feel. I don't think as we go through CrossFit classes on a day-to-day basis, you're always thinking, what am I supposed to be feeling here?
Yeah.
And having that in the back of your head, like it definitely has changed the way that I go through classes now.
Yeah.
Of like, this is the position I need to hit. This is what I should be feeling, where I should be engaging.
Yeah.
I changed my deadlift position like midway through the L1, and I'm
Let's
like,
go.
oh, that.
We've been talking
like,
about that one.
I should bend down till I feel my hamstrings. That is the engagement position, which like I've been deadlifting for 10 years, and all of a sudden like it clicked that that's how I know I'm in the right position. So I think a lot of that foundation is really great to have from the get-go, but also something you can learn later, for sure.
That's why it's really important that gyms have fundamental sessions. Like, not all gyms have them, and they just kind of, like, when Chloe started CrossFit, obviously she was a competitive gymnast. One of her favorite Gator gymnastics athletes, like, retired and started doing CrossFit. And so that's why she was like, when she was ready to retire, she was like, I'll try it. And her gym, even though Route 3 does a great job, she loved it, everything else, they just, like, threw her into class and was like, we'll teach you as you go. And, like, while we can definitely do that, I think it's better to have some of that one-on-one just to kind of, like, give a base so that then when they're in class, you're not, like, blindsided by stuff. Did you have an old person at your L1? There's always, like, one old person.
The oldest one I think was probably like in her 50s.
Okay, so you didn't
maybe.
have. Normally,
We didn't
there's
have,
like a
an
70-year-old. That's like
person.
really
No.
consistent, and they ask so many questions, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
so
no, we didn't
you
have
lucked
that.
out. You didn't have the oldie,
No.
and they always like try to exchange numbers with everyone.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, no, we didn't have that. We had a Noah Olsen guest appearance,
Yeah, I'm jealous
though.
on that one. That's sick.
It was at his gym, so he rolled out during our lunch on our second day, and we had like a really cool impromptu
Sweet.
Q&A
He's a good
with
dude.
Noah about like both his L1. He kind of gave some background of like how much he enjoyed that weekend and how it changed his trajectory for CrossFit,
Mhm.
but also like what was his first games experience like.
Yeah.
How has he stayed with it and stuck with it for all of these years?
Yeah.
Because he's probably one of the oldest still competing
Yeah.
CrossFitters out there.
Absolutely.
And he was just so friendly, which
Yeah.
was very
Was
cool.
Max there? His dog, Max?
No.
He has a
No.
beautiful, like, reddish golden retriever.
A chaos
yeah.
dog, yeah.
Yeah, he has a big old tattoo of it. So, no, Noah Olsen's cool. I like, because he's talked a lot in his career about how, this applies to you, I think, how he's shifted from time to time from, like, endurance heavy
Mhm.
to weightlifting heavy and, like, tried to put on size and then slim down and, like, kind of up and down. Which is, I guess, a good segue from your L1 experience and coaching to, like, your fitness background. So let's give, like, a quick snapshot of what you've done, like, your timeline of, like, sports to fitness to whatever else.
Mhm.
So,
Early as a kid, my family, I come from a background of just very fit, active parents. College athletes, just always athletes growing up. My dad was a marathon runner. My mom was in personal fitness, personal training, spinning, all of that type of stuff. So from day one, we used to fight my mom about it, but she would have us running 5Ks and kids triathlons at
That's wild.
5 years old.
that's wild.
And it was just always part of our family. Like, we would go on vacation and go on a walk together, and, like, that
Yeah.
was just part of how I was raised. I was raised on a lot of good eating and just, like, good background and foundation. And so we were very much put into a bunch of different sports when we were younger. Like, I played soccer, ran cross country, was in gymnastics, ballet, like, all of these different kind of just, like, baseline, develop yourself. And that was what my parents felt like early on. You should do a lot of things to, like, learn all these things. And then I eventually picked, I remember in 7th grade, I was playing school soccer, running cross country at school. I was on a club soccer team,
She was
and I was a club swimmer.
Love that.
And I was doing all of these things all at once. And we hit a red light on my way home. After I had run my cross country 3 miles, went to school soccer practice, was on the way to swimming, where my mom had to pick me up early to bring me to soccer.
Yeah.
That was my afternoon. And we hit a red light, and I yelled at my mom, and I said, I'm going to be late. And she's like, stop the car, and she turns around and she goes, pick a sport. One sport. That's it.
I love
You're
that.
done. You can finish the school seasons. We won't drop halfway through, but that's it. One sport. And I picked swimming, which in hindsight, I don't know if that was the best decision, but that was my decision nonetheless. And I ended up being a competitive swimmer from 7th grade then all the way through high school, 12th grade when I finished. Was always like a decently just above average swimmer. Like, I was not making a D1 team, but I was there every day. Swimming is a horrible sport. You're in the pool at 5 a.m., maybe sometimes before that, looking down at the bottom of the line and talking to nobody
Yeah.
for 20 hours a week. Like, swimming is just repetition over and over again, but it builds a really great baseline foundation. Like, there's a lot of swimmers here at Fit Lab
Yeah.
from, like, growing up, and they're probably some of the best endurance athletes that we have here just because it gives that to you.
Definitely.
And you learn how to breathe. It's so much harder to hold your breath and breathe when you bring your head up than, like, being able to breathe freely.
Yeah, I'm bad at that.
So that was my baseline foundation. Built a lot of, like, just general fitness, I think, through that. And then swimming's really big on dry land, cross training, lifting. So I started lifting summer going into my 9th grade year.
Nice.
With everything. We did push press, strict press, squats, deadlifts, like all of that from very early on. Which I think is a lot earlier than a lot of people start.
Yeah,
And it
that's
was
pretty
cool
early.
to kind of have that ease into it from a very young age.
Yeah.
And then dryland training and weight training went all the way through 12th grade. We were always in, like, the weight room a couple of times a week. So that was kind of my early on. And then college, I had an option to swim D3, but I chose academics. I'm an engineer out of school. I picked the top biomedical engineering school in the country, and that was my decision to follow my academics.
Go. What are they? the
Yellow
bees
Jacket.
or something. Yellow jacket.
Yellow
Yeah, the bees or
Jackets.
something. Yeah. Go Yellow
So I
Jackets.
wanted that. That was a D1 school. Could not swim there. So ultimately moved away from that, but was picked up for our club rowing team that Georgia Tech had. But we had no D1 team, so we competed and traveled across the country against D1 teams since we didn't have one of those.
Yeah.
So kind of fell into this pretty competitive club sport that again also had early mornings. We would leave campus at 4:30 in the morning.
Oh my God.
All throughout college.
Yeah.
So
So
my
going
thing,
to bed when you were getting up at 4:30?
Oh, I lived all years that I rowed with morning practices like that. I lived with only rowers, and we would be in bed at 8:30.
That's awesome.
Most days,
awesome.
because we would all be up at the same time to
Yeah.
drive at 4 o'clock in the morning.
That's pretty cool.
So rowed through college, got
Now
to
you got
travel,
those
got
lats.
to see people. Yeah,
Bree's got some of the best lats you'll ever see, and she's on the all lat team at Fit
Yeah.
Labs. Her and Chloe, who's been on the pod twice. So there you go.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
So rowed, did a bunch of stuff out of that, and then all throughout that sprinkled in a bunch of long distance running. I ran my first full marathon my junior year of college,
Sick.
which
How fast? What was that?
4:03,
Okay.
just above 4
Not bad,
hours.
yeah, for your first.
Which was pretty cool for my
What's
first
your best
one.
marathon?
Not that's my best one.
That's your best
my
one?
second full marathon,
Your
I was
best one?
4:06.
That happened to Nick Bear too. It's okay. You're not alone.
So I was just there, but not quite there.
What do you think you could run now if you did a marathon?
I'd have to go through like a speed cycle.
Yeah.
So then the most recent race I did was a 50K
Yeah.
through the mountains. Had like 8,000 feet of elevation over
Ultra
the
bad.
ultra. And that's just such different running, slow
Absolutely.
running. So I don't think right now I'm conditioned to run fast necessarily. I think that's like, it comes and goes.
Yeah.
Could it be back there if I did a training block cycle? Probably.
Yeah.
My fastest half marathon was 1:43, which is like an 8:10 or something
Yeah.
like that. I don't think I have an 8:10 for a full, but like probably somewhere in the
I
8:30s,
feel like you got like a
8:40s.
Yeah, I feel like you got like a 3:40, 3:30
Maybe.
if you
It's
really.
a pretty big.
I mean, if you really.
yeah, if I focus. But like that goes back to a lot of what I was saying about like not specializing. I think
Yeah.
that would take me only running
Yes.
to
correct.
get to that.
Yeah.
I think it's much cooler to be able to say I can run, and I would be pretty confident saying I
agree.
could run a 4-hour marathon right now, but I could also go do a 200-pound clean
Correct.
and do that all in the same week.
Yeah.
Like I think that's much more rewarding for
And
me.
run an ultra, because
Yeah.
a lot of people who run marathons, you then try to apply it to like a longer
Mm-hmm.
distance, and it just like annihilates them. Like
Yeah.
so. No, I
So
think you're resilient in
it's
that
being
way.
able to kind of pull a lot of these things out of my toolbox and kind of just like I'm saying I'm easily convinced to do any athletic endeavor. If like Kaity came to me tomorrow and said, "Hey, let's
I
do this
might.
thing," I would probably say yes.
Yeah.
And so there's like all these different things. It's just fun to always be doing something new
And that's the best friend to have, guys.
and
just so
finding
you
something
know.
different. So my biggest flaw, biggest downside, I am not a sprinter.
No.
I was a long distance swimmer. I was much better at the 6K than the 2K in rowing. And I would much rather run a 10K than go sprint a 400 meter.
That's fair. I'm not a sprinter either, but we know that. I'm not fast. Chloe, on the other hand,
Is she
very
good?
fast at sprinter. Yeah, she really cooks. So,
It's
but
like
I mean, she
Daniel.
ran track and field also.
Okay.
So she was a sprinter and long jump were her
Yeah.
too. So when did you start CrossFit? So you're running through your rowing career.
Mhm.
You've done marathons. You've done an ultra.
Yeah.
So when did you start CrossFit?
It's a good question. When I moved to Durham, I went through this little like powerlifting stint.
Oh, that's
At the
right. That's
end
right. I
of
forgot about your
college.
powerlifting.
So I
career.
graduated college in COVID. Rowing got stopped. Everything else got stopped. That's when I really picked up a lot of running. But I also didn't want to only run and lose my strength that I had. So I joined the powerlifting club at our gym at our college.
Yeah.
Because they gave you an off-campus gym that was really empty and was open through COVID when our campus gym was like really not great. So it was like a convenience factor.
Yeah.
But then I got kind of into it. I thought it was pretty cool. I had not like tried to build conventional strength like that before.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to Durham, I like kept it up. And so I started at CFD here in downtown Durham. but not doing CrossFit classes. I like would drop in every once in a while, and I was like, hey, that looks like a good conditioning WOD. I should do that.
Yeah.
But I was not trying to do any strength, did not have pull-ups, nothing like that. And I was just doing powerlifting.
Mm.
And then when I moved and bought my house in 2021, I moved gyms to Bowl City, which was like across the street.
Okay, pause. What are your lifts? What
For
are
what?
your all-time best conventionals? The big three.
345 for my deadlift.
Oh, yeah.
285 back squat.
Oh, yeah.
And a very recent
I just wanted to
test my
you.
bench press over here.
Expose
It is now 150.
Let's go.
If we had this 2 weeks ago, 125.
I can't have that. That was on the plot as you as a coach. I'm like, we gotta get that bit. I can't. What if someone asks? You know? No.
Yeah.
But
so I moved to Bowl City, and that was when I went full in on starting CrossFit.
and she met the love of her life, so that's pretty
I
sick
did meet
too.
the love of my life.
I met the
there.
love of my life in a gym too. It works out sometimes.
So I guess that was maybe September will be 4 years ago.
Cool.
Was kind of my start. I remember like hella scaling to beginning. Like could not do a 65-pound cycling some cleans.
I love that.
And I remember like always looking at like L1, L2, L3, and I'd be like, am I like doing L2 today?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe. And now I roll up in the gym and I'm always like, unless it's a heavily skilled workout, like it's
You're
not
not
a question that I
Yeah.
can RX it. So I think that's a pretty cool development to kind of see. And just
Definitely.
the change in skills. I rolled up and I had strict pull-ups and strict handstand push-ups, but could not kick anything to save my life.
Yeah.
And when I say strict, like maybe one or two of both of those.
I think that benefits you though, because I think that's the harder thing to get. Like, if you can figure out the mind-muscle connection when you already have the strength, then you really, like, it's kind of like she was talking to someone about bar muscle-ups, so she just got her first one in March, into Feb.
It was the week before the Open.
Yeah, so.
Open Magic, of course.
And, like, now she's able to RX, like, justifiable volume on muscle-ups. Like, we did Nasty Girl, she did 7-bar muscle-ups. 3 rounds of it, and you were saying to Sam, like, you know, the volume comes, but I think that's also because you're a very strong athlete. Because, like, no, you can probably teach a lot of athletes that don't have a ton of strength of a muscle up. Like, we have a really good friend who, like, her conventional strength is pretty low, but anything dynamic, she's, like, she can't back squat more than 200, but she can power clean 175. Like, so I think you
crazy.
And, like, quite literally, I tried to get her to do 2 at 195 recently, and it annihilated her. Like, so I find, because my background, I was more strength-based early and then kind of found the other stuff. And I really think it's beneficial, and most people come at it from the reverse, though. I think they're, like, not as strong. They have to build up the strength, and then they kind of get to all of that, and, like, gymnastics comes a little faster because those athletes tend to be maybe trimmer or like we're former runners and like don't have the muscle mass for a lot of it. So no, I mean, I think your story is interesting because I think it definitely like follows an unconventional path to CrossFit. So what would you say your biggest strengths are in CrossFit, and what would you say your biggest weaknesses are in CrossFit?
Running in CrossFit workouts. CrossFitters tend to be not good runners. Yeah. And I feel like because of my background, I have the opposite. So, like, that is one day that I can definitely do really well always in a running workout because I can keep my heart rate pretty low at a decent pace to be able to come back in and do whatever else is thrown at you during that. So, I think that's probably one of my biggest strengths. And then Olympic lifting. So, in my 4 years of CrossFit, I took off probably a year and a half or so where I did like a workout or CrossFit workout or 2 a week, but did 5 days a week of Olympic lifting because when I had first started, gymnastics was kind of like a weakness, but I found that Olympic lifting was the easiest thing for me to tackle. I had the strength, so it was really learning the technique and all of that, and so spent a lot of time and a lot of work on building up Olympic lifting. So I think now I can do pretty well anything from like heavy stuff to cycling at lower weights in some good sets and like trying to keep it really consistent and look nice.
She's being modest. She's very good with a barbell.
I like to make sure that my technique's not falling apart in some of those things. So those are my 2 favorite ones. A heavy barbell,
Froning way.
Heavy barbell and a run.
That's what Froning always talks about. Is like he really grinded because he wanted, like when he is his most tired, to be able to nail technique every time because he like felt that was one of his big strengths, which I would agree. Like if you look at historically CrossFit Games athletes who have done really well, a lot of them were Olympic lifters, like Fraser, obviously.
Yeah.
But, so you said running, Olympic lifting, strengths.
Yeah.
All right, what are some weaknesses? Hard to believe, guys. I know.
Definitely gymnastics still.
Yeah.
Volume of gymnastics. I think that
Yeah, I think you have good form.
I
think
that they look pretty, and
Yeah.
so people naturally think that I'm good at it.
Yeah.
I think you've honestly had this problem.
Yeah,
You were like,
early on for sure.
your pull-ups look like great. This is
Yeah.
a great workout for you. And I'm like, hey, as soon as I get
like
over
3
like
rounds
10
in, yeah.
sets of 10 or something, I fall apart.
Yeah.
And not from them starting to look ugly, but because I'm just like dropping down because
Yeah.
I think I don't want them to start looking ugly.
Yeah.
And so some of that's like, I think, mental. I don't like pushing through something when I know that technique is failing, form is failing.
Yeah.
And so that's probably like one of my biggest weaknesses. But so volume of gymnastics, definitely one of the biggest weaknesses. And then what else?
I mean, within reason, because I think you're a dog, so it's okay, and you stick it out.
Echo bike.
But I was going to say, I think one of your weaknesses is just, like, mentality.
Yeah.
What you were just talking about. Like, Brie and I always joke, because I'll be like, Brie, can we send it today? And she's like, I don't really do that, and whatever. And that's not necessarily a flaw, but I do think I've seen plenty of workouts where you could definitely do better. And you, like, kind of come out slow, or you come out a little hot, and then you realize you're coming out hot, and then you throttle back way too much, and, like, finding that balance.
Yeah.
I think Bree's really benefited from, I think in the last 6 months, a lot of athletes have stepped up too. And so, like, you finally have someone, like, some people to, like, pace off of.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have different strengths and weaknesses. Like, one of our friends is, like, insane with cardio. And then, like, Chloe is really good with gymnastics. And, like, so there's different strengths and weaknesses for you to kind of look at and, like, pace also off of. Or be like, I know I can beat this person if I do this, this, and that.
Yeah.
I think CrossFit gets a bad rap for being competitive as a negative, but I think it's a great thing. Like, if I see you perform a certain, like, that row push-up one, you were like, I did this number, I did this, and I was like, well...
Yeah, I was like, I did 218, so you and Riley came out with 219 and 220.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I know my push-ups are better than Bree's, her wall balls might be a smidge better than me, or rowing's definitely better than me, so I gotta push it on the push-ups.
Yeah.
And, like, you with that rope climb one the other day, you were like, Riley did it in 6:07, but I know that I just am a little more proficient at rope climbs, so if I can take smart breaks, I can, like, beat that score. And that's where I think it's important to, like, build community in a group that you can talk like that with each other.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I'm trying to beat you because I have, like, beef with you or I think I'm better than you. It's like, I see this strength and weakness. I know I have this and that. And, like, the bike box, we did one the other day that was, like, sprints of bike and burpee box jump overs. And I asked Brie to send it a little more. And she was next to our friend Riley, who is, like, that is, like, her workout. Like, a box jump and a bike is, like, Riley's dream. And so, like, she was on pace for, like, she came out a little slow, and then you picked it up for 2, and then the fourth one was okay, and then the fifth one kind of fell off. But, like we talked about after the workout, you'll never know unless you do workouts like that. And so, no, I think it's definitely, I've seen your mentality raise, and it's like finding that level for you. I don't need you to send yourself through a brick wall every single workout. I'll never ask that of you. I don't think anyone should do that. I kind of do that, but not intentionally. I just have trouble throttling. Like, I'm either sandbagging, being lazy, or brick wall. Like, I don't have what you have.
I will always give you 90%.
Yeah, you're going to give me a solid 85, 90 no matter what, but you're never going to give me 100. Whereas I'm like, I'm going to give 92% every single watt and sometimes 100. Or, like, 50. And I'm going to scale half the movements. But I also overtrain. That's a conversation for a different day. This one's about Brie. It's not about Kaity. So, but
come back.
Part 2, come back. We'll talk about Brie and I's secret plan that we have going in the fall for me. So, the winter. But, so, okay. And then the other piece that I wanted to talk about, because you're a baddie. Tell me, like, let's talk a little bit about what you do for a living. Because you're a badass. And then how you balance your fitness with a very demanding job as well. Because Brie definitely works her tail off. So you be working.
I was a biomedical engineer out of college. I moved up to Durham for a startup. Pretty small back in the time. When I moved here, we were only 20 employees. And we're now 500 plus has grown
That's a couple.
crazy in the last like 4 years or so. I started as an engineer, just kind of doing design work. We are a 3D printed, personalized orthopedic implant company
Pretty
doing
sick.
ankles, knees, shoulders, hips, anything you can
Head,
imagine.
shoulders,
Head,
knees,
literally,
and
we've
toes.
done like something like 90% of the bones in the body.
That's cool.
Because people come to us with like crazy cancer, like oncology type cases, or like huge motor vehicle accidents or traumatic injury, and they're like, hey, can you recreate my tibia? And we're like, sure. We gotcha.
I love
So
that.
that's kind of our bread and butter, I guess, and we've really grown in that personalized orthopedic space. I got pulled after my first year. Our co-founder, supposedly, I don't remember this, but this is a story he told me years
It's a great
later,
story.
where I sat in a room as this little tiny 22, 23-year-old out of college, not much experience, but a lot of confidence, I guess, and fully convinced him to change his mind on something he was pretty set in the way that he was going. And so from then, he said, she's going to be in charge of our regulatory department. Didn't exist at the time, so I had to create it. Spent a year reporting to our co-founder, who we had one-on-one in a whole year. So I was extremely on my own of just like building this department in a growing company, trying to find where regulatory, which like, if you're not familiar with regulated industries, our company, we are regulated by the FDA with the government, and there's a lot of rules you gotta follow.
Yeah.
You don't always know what rules they are, so you gotta figure out what rules they are, then figure out how we're gonna follow them and all that type of stuff. My mom jokes all the time, Kaity learned this weekend, that I'm a rule follower from
I just
the
wanted
day
to
I
set off
was born.
some fireworks, guys.
And so when I was telling my mom like what position I was moving into, she goes, "Oh, fitting."
Makes sense, yeah.
So essentially, I find out how we can stay compliant as a company and what procedures we have, what documentation we have to do, and then also get all of our products approved through the FDA. So putting together submissions, speaking the language that's kind of in between engineering talk, that's luckily my background, and like government FDA talk that's very regimented. And so like I'm the liaison between both of those people and do all of the interaction with the FDA now.
Cool.
Pretty stressful. Deal with our inspections and like anything when we're dealing with non-compliance and that type of stuff. But I love it ultimately.
Yeah.
It's a great job. It's a great company, great people. When you join our company, you pick one of two paths. You either become a rock climber or you become a CrossFitter.
Let's go.
Our co-founder was a Masters Games athlete back in the day.
Love that.
Our COO was on a team at the games
Okay.
out of CrossFit Atlanta, both of them. And everybody up, our CEO is a CrossFitter. My boss is a
I
CrossFitter.
wonder if they know Corinne. They probably do. My
bet.
mentor is up there.
They were in it at CrossFit Atlanta for a long time.
Yeah, because they owned Dwala up there.
Yeah.
But they also took a team to the games.
Yeah.
Probably around the same time, it
I'm
sounds
sure.
like time.
Yeah, this was some like early-ish
Yeah.
CrossFit, probably like 2014.
Yeah, that's
time
up around
period
there.
or
I think
so.
she was like 14 to 16 for that chunk.
So a lot of background of that at our company, so it's just kind of like
Random
thrust
and
upon
awesome.
you in
Yeah.
a way. Literally thrusted with a
Right.
thruster. Or you become a rock climber. That's like the other path.
I think you picked the correct path.
Yeah,
Not
I
to
would
dog
say
on
so,
rock
too.
climbers, but they're kind of weird. I
Yeah.
get the weird vibes from rock climbers, but like respect.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So,
I think you gotta be
one,
quirky.
With that, like that aspect, it is 100% never frowned upon when like I talk to my boss and I'm like, hey, I gotta log off early and make it to class.
Yeah.
Or like she'll call me and I'll pick up and she'll hear music in the background. She'll be like, are you at the gym? And I'll be
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Which is awesome.
And she'll be like, give me a call in an hour.
It's a
And
culture
so like
thing.
we have that culture where you are never expected to not take fitness seriously
Yeah.
because it's an important part. Like I think it's very much valued as a part outside of,
Yeah.
which is a huge help in general. No
Definitely.
one's going to look at you poorly when you roll up at 10 a.m. because you were at the gym that morning.
Yeah.
Or like we even have people that go during lunch and it's like very normal.
Yeah.
I think for the most part that helps a ton. But my biggest thing is like getting it done in the morning ensures that I will not have a problem.
Yeah.
I do probably at least on a weekly basis. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to take 4:30 and then a meeting rolls up or someone pulls me into something at like 4 o'clock and I'm like,
Very sure.
not going to
Yeah.
make it. And I am mad at myself on the days where like I didn't come in the morning already knowing that that was maybe going to happen because I had a meeting that was going to go till 4 and I'm like probably could go late. So I think it's being a little bit proactive with it too. If there's something I really want to do or a workout I really want to get in or I know I have to go for a run that day, do it early because it's
Yeah.
never going to be a problem. It's a lot easier to roll up at 9:30 and already be done and not have to worry about it for the rest of the day than have the afternoon. But I think even with that, it's setting those boundaries a little bit for yourself. I think be in a place where, like I have, that values fitness to the point where somebody's not going to look down upon you when you're like, I gotta go get this in. I'll be back on later this evening. And that's what happens a lot of times.
Or like, I gotta take a long weekend this weekend because I'm going to do a race, like her water bottle. She did a 100-mile relay race. Those were in the Outer Banks, yes? Yeah. So, no, and I think it helps too. We talk about life and fitness balance and everything else. You and I both, and this is a priority I think we both probably set for ourselves, whether we knew it or not, but having a partner who also is into fitness.
That's a huge part of
it. I'm old, so I have a little more of a relationship background than you. You lucked out. You found Daniel pretty early in your life, but like I have been with people in the past who fitness was like not something that mattered, and that I don't know that I thought that was a priority. And then when Chloe and I got together, I was like, oh, this is like a game changer. Yeah. Because like no one's ever, like she never gets down on me when I'm like, hey, I know it's late, but I need to get this run in because I have to. And she's like, yeah, totally, I'll start dinner. Like that kind of thing. So
I have that too.
I think that helps, yeah.
And it's supportive.
Daniel is very fit. Her fiance is extremely fit, played college football, is a stud, has all the skills. That's my favorite thing about Daniel. I'm like, hey, like, this wad's got backflips, and Daniel's like, how many? I'm like,
Daniel,
you have backflips?
I'm trying to really get Daniel to do a partner competition with me, because we were talking about it, and we're like, hey, neither one of us is going to be absolute number one in anything. I don't think that, like, either one of us will be the strongest one in the room. Neither one of us will be the best gymnastics in the room, but we will all give you top 3 in everything, which is awesome. Is how you can win something in CrossFit. Is just be decently good at everything. And I think that he has it even more than me for sure. But like he can pull out every single skill, every single thing. Can throw up good weight, but can also go out and beat everybody in a 400-meter run. He also jumps higher than any human I've personally met in my life. Like, it is incredible. We were playing catch at the beach, and he just, like, sailed through the sky. And I was like, is he going to come back down? I look at him, and I say, our kids better get his hops and not mine. Neither Brie or I are jumpers, so for different reasons. I can't explain yours. I have some excuses. But I'm not excuses. I don't think I was a particularly good jumper before I tore my calves, though, to be clear. We used to do, like, drills in martial arts, and I'd be like, trying to get up there. But, no, it definitely helps with balance. I mean, like you're saying, your work is very mindful about it. Your home life, very mindful about it. You'd be surprised how much in gym settings you really have to push the priority of fitness. Because a lot of people start coaching and they kind of let it like fall to the side. That's one thing I've been talking about a lot with our owners. I call them the boys. With the boys is like my busyness at FitLab has only grown. But also like my fitness over the last 10 months has really like hit a pretty good stride. I wouldn't say it's the fittest I've ever been. That was a couple years ago, but like I'm pretty high up there for me. And like that is a priority for me though. Like I never want to be like, well, I know plenty of coaches and like head coaches who are like, well, I coach 15 classes a week and I have all these clients. I don't really have time to work out. It's got to take a back seat. And I just think that's like, I don't know, like you said, it's kind of lazy. Nobody wants to hear that, but like sometimes you just quite literally have to prioritize that. Brie does a better job of balancing it though. She sleeps more than I do and takes more rest days. She's smart. Though I've taken 2 rest days in the last week, so I'm just saying. Hey, before we finish here, I'll give you my rules to life. Oh, the rules. We love these rules. They're perfect. Never squat 2 days in a row. That's on my list of things. If you've watched my YouTube channel for longer than 3 seconds, you know I break that one. Squat over 3 years. So never squat 2 days in a row. You can squat 3 days a week, but put a day in between them. Never squat 2 days in a row. Make sure you do both sides evenly. I feel like a lot of people will like do one leg lunges but have uneven numbers of them, or like always start on the right leg but always end with them less or something. So even on my box jumps, I step down. I'll do half stepping down with the right leg, half stepping down with the left leg. You gotta mix it up, you know? Coach Breeze. And 3, always take a rest day. One day a week. I have taken 1 day a week as a rest day for I don't know, since my swimming days where we had
She's a
Sundays
good
off.
girl.
And it's just like always been part of my day. And I think it helps me mentally a whole lot because like, one, I think it's important to take a step back every day. If you're only regulating like your mental health, maybe not fully mental health, but like only regulating your day by getting into the gym, I think it's sometimes
say a lot of people
important.
regulate their mental health through the
It's
gym,
important to be able to like find that regulation in other ways too. So like on those days, I'll go for a walk, I'll take the dogs out and throw the ball or something like that, where like I'm still getting that outside time or those endorphins, but like not through
not
working
taxing
out.
your central nervous
And I
system.
think it's like really helpful to try to have those breakups in kind of your week too.
Yeah.
So
listen to Bree. Don't listen. Don't listen to me.
I think that's my, like, those 3 things that genuinely, those 3 things, I've never, knock on wood, this is a big knock on wood.
Yeah,
I've never been
knock on wood.
injured.
Yeah.
I've never taken off more than a week, and that was because I was on vacation. And I've also never stepped back from, or really had any period of burnout necessarily in all of my years of working out. And I think that maybe there's a lot of things that could go into that, but I think that those 3 things are pretty good as far as like how I've stuck with it and enjoyed it over all these years.
I would agree too. I mean, one thing about me, I am always a do as I say, not as I do. Because I give far different advice to my athletes than I ever would give to myself, which is probably a flaw too. But you know, again, today's about Bree and not me, so I think Bree's 3 rules to life. Would you look at the time?
Wow.
I guess you gotta go. I think that's a good place to end on. Bree, thanks for hopping on and talking.
Yeah,
She'll be
thanks.
back. I'm gonna make her do more.
Part 2.
Part 2
Please.
coming soon, even though it took us like 4 months to get the first one. But see you in 4 months.